What is up, fam? Welcome to another Wisdom Wednesday. This is a place where I just want to come on and share about concepts I'm thinking or learning about that I believe relate to living a more wise and mindful life. So last week was my first Wisdom Wednesday, and fittingly, the topic was getting out of your own way. And what I hope Wisdom Wednesday can serve as it does for me, is just as a reminder for us to start somewhere. Sometimes we just need that jump start to get the engine running and something to spark us up again, to start pursuing those dreams and goals that we have that have been running in the back of our heads. This past week I've really just been thinking, okay, how can I get out of my own way more? Start small is what I've been thinking mostly, and keep circling back around to. Start small, build the habits. Don't expect giant goals to be completed or tasks to be done within minutes. Like, be realistic, break it down into tangible goals instead. Last week, I also mentioned how part of me always wishes I could read a book in a day, but with this start small reminder, I actually, instead of a day, ended up reading a book in a week. And this is something that I hope to do in these Wisdom Wednesdays as well, is start some dialogues on books. Like, I love reading, and I know other people do too. So, sharing what we get to learn from the books we read. Anyway, the book that I finished in this week has been one that many people have highly recommended, and it is Phil Knight's Shoe Dog. And I absolutely loved this book, and there are definitely some things that I'd just like to share that I got out of this book, and also serve as a reminder for when I look back, if I look back and watch these, that I can remember what I learned when reading it. The first thing is, I guess, as a fellow Oregonian, I love his description of starting off as a angsty 25-year-old, freshly out of grad school student, not knowing where or what he wanted to do. And I just love how he describes Oregon. And I didn't know that he traveled so much, making these giant goals of going around the world and then getting stuck in Hawaii because he loved the life there so much. Another thing that I really liked was talking about selling and the difference between promoting something when you're passionate about it versus not. So in Hawaii, he was trying to sell encyclopedias, but he couldn't make a darn sale, versus later on when he was selling his own Nike shoes, how it just came naturally and kept growing and building, and he created this whole culture and organization. And you can really just see how the difference in when something aligns with a passion internally, how the success just comes. Also, another thing is the importance of accounting. I'm realizing I gotta work on that, because throughout the book he talks about debt and equity and cash flows, and how he was constantly kind of on the risky end of things, but he surrounded himself with really smart people. And I really appreciated his description of how the people he hired also were similar to him but had greater strengths than him in certain areas, also in his management style, and how he's describing kind of being aloof in some ways, where he wasn't communicating very well, but being more of a hands-off manager. It gave room for his employees to grow and take their own reins and contribute their own attributes to the organization. And I really appreciated that. The biggest thing I would say that I got from this is really how traveling around the world can open your eyes and exposes you to the many beauties around. How when passion and persistence align, anything can happen and you can be unstoppable. And the importance of appreciating the now. In the last part of the book, he talks about how instead of having a feeling of success, he had a feeling of regret because he so wished he could go back and just do it all again. And that was so eye-opening of, wow, here throughout the book, he's talking about all these trials, about always feeling the pressure of, okay, what decision are we going to make? How are we going to grow? How are we going to keep expanding? But at the end of that success finish line, he's sitting there saying, dang, I wish I could do it all again. And that hit hard. I was like, ooh, okay, time for me to take in the now. Anyway, those are some thoughts on Shoe Dog. If you've read it, let me know what you got out of it. I absolutely loved it. I found myself laughing so much out loud. So yeah, if you've read it, let me know what you got out of it, what you liked. If you didn't like anything, let me know that too. For today's topic, I think Shoe Dog has also led me to this thought I've been pondering about being more in the now, letting go of control. And in those concepts, I narrowed it down to allowing for flexibility. So when I say flexibility, I think we get so in our heads about how something is supposed to go that we start to grasp on for control. And when one little thing comes along that doesn't go the way that we thought it would, we stiffen up. And I say we here, I'm really talking about me. So if you can relate, that's fantastic. If you can't, that's even greater, because then you're not going through this. But for me, I will switch to, I stiffen up when I find out something's not going to go the way that I thought it will. And I'm realizing I'm constantly this human ball of stress, and I really, really want to unwind, go with the flow, essentially. And for me, that ties into, how can I allow for flexibility? I think in this period of my life, and a lot of my peers around me, of freshly out of college, we're finding out what we're passionate about, what we don't like. It's this time for exploration, and it's this precious, wonderful, adventurous time. But naturally, people who care about us, they ask, okay, what are your plans? They want to know, they want to support us, right? But it can create a little bit of internal frustration, I think, where it's like, well, I don't know what I want to do necessarily. And I think that's a fine thing, to be in the unknown. And I'm trying personally to, instead of grasp on for control, for certainty, instead of figuring out how can I create room for more flexibility, to release and keep pursuing, but know things will work out as long as I keep going on that path. But to let go of that stress and that pressure and that anxiety, and instead allow room for flexibility. I think in this allowing room for flexibility, I'm really been asking myself, and would challenge to ask you as well, where are areas in your life that you feel that you're grasping for control? And instead of grasping for control, what is a way that you can create room for flexibility? For me, I've become more reactive, and if I create room for flexibility instead, and be open to uncertainty and unknown, but trust along the way that things will work out, I think I'll live a better life. I think I'll be more mindful and enjoy where I am right now, because just like Phil Knight, we look at this type of person and we go, wow, he is a success. He is amazing. And yet through his memoir, he's saying basically the best days of my life were when I was in those push, go building moments. So what I challenge you to do is to question, where is an area in your life that you feel that you're grasping for control, and how can you create room for flexibility in it instead? If you've tuned in, thank you for watching, and I hope this week you can live a more wise and mindful life. Wisdom Wednesday, Wisdom Wednesday, Wisdom Wednesday. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Samara. Okay.